let's get into the meat of the story. So how did my car get repossessed? So mind you, I bought the car at 21 with no credit, no knowledge of interest rates, car insurance, car repairs. I was only making $2,100 a month. Not considering the fact that I still have to pay rent, my phone bills, my party life, traveling, concerts, everything. I was living this luxurious life and never thought to consider the fact that I couldn't handle it. I was in over my head. I was spending money left and right. I ended up getting credit cards and maxed those out. I was getting outrageous parking tickets because I was too lazy to park anywhere else because I didn't want people to break into my car or steal my car. So I would just park at the parking meters in front of my office and leave it there all day, not caring, because I just probably trauma from all the car break-ins and my actual car being stolen, like whole car gone. So I racked up a bunch of parking tickets, and before my car was repossessed, I actually had gotten a boot on it. Yeah, that's what happens when you don't pay your parking tickets. The system eventually just caught up to me and I got a boot on my car. So I had to deal with that. So I'm taking hit after hit after hit. And I remember also the first week I had my car, I got a flat tire, you guys. So all of my money is already accounted for when it comes to what I make, what I'm spending on. I cannot afford a flat tire. And do you know how expensive those big old tires were? So I got off to a very rocky start. And I know I'm only talking about the negative stuff, but basically all of this eventually led to my finances spiraling out of control. And to the point where I was spending every dollar before I even made it. I was maxing out credit cards. I was missing car payments, which is the result of a car repossession, to fund my credit card bills, my phone bills. Like, I just didn't have a budget. I didn't know how to manage my money properly. I was a whole mess. And I remember getting to a point where I was considering filing for bankruptcy. I didn't know what to do at that point. I was about maybe, I don't know. I think I still owed maybe like $10,000 on the car. It was some outrageous number. I don't remember exactly. Some of that time period was blocked out of my memory because I was just being my age. I'm in my 20s and I'm living the life, you guys. Like, I was also a party promoter at that point. I was partying like no other. I even lost my job at one point. I was laid off during the recession and then trying to maintain this lifestyle. Lifestyle inflation is real, guys. And what that basically means is you're just living beyond your means. And anytime you get a raise, your lifestyle inflates with that raise, versus keeping your same lifestyle at, I don't know, if you're making $10 an hour and then you're making $12, rather than me adding another expense to my life, I stick with the same expenses and, tuck away that $2 versus thinking, oh, $2 extra a month per hour. I'm going to add, I'm going to start buying like more shoes, whatever the case. So I wish I knew things like that coming into this, but basically I was out every weekend. I was out almost every night, partying, eating out at restaurants, hanging out with my friends, doing the most, traveling, with no concept of my future or my money. I was just like, yes, 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 yes. So eventually this lifestyle caught up to me, and I was sitting at home here in this room and I was watching TV and I heard my alarm, but I didn't think to react because I was like, it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, why would this, or like, it was like 6 o'clock because it was after work. I'm sorry. Why would my alarm be going off? Like, people don't break into cars during the day. Like, I at least had that peace of mind, right? Then I was like, well, sometimes people bump into my car. So I'm thinking all these things, but I'm still not getting up to check the window, But then it kept going, like it didn't stop. So I'm like, okay, that has to be my car, because usually people will shut off their alarm by the time it hits like 10 seconds. So I get up, go to the window. I'm parked in front of my house. The hood is up and there's a tow truck next to my car, like, and the dude is just like in front of my hood. So it's still not registering that my car is being repossessed. My first thought was like, I didn't call AAA, or I didn't call anyone to fix my car. There's nothing wrong with my car. What's going on? Like, why is he at the, how did he get the, who, what? I run downstairs and I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And at this point, remember I told you I was considering filing for bankruptcy. I couldn't afford these car payments. Like, it was affecting my life, my health, all of it. And I was just like stressed out. You know, I felt like I had messed up and I just need to find a way out of this. I just didn't know how to get out of that situation. So I was watching this guy repossess my car, and I'm telling him, like, this is my car. Like, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? He's like, I'm sorry, but you got to call the banks. I'm just doing my job. I have to take the car. And he didn't have to do this, but he let me take everything out of my car and put it into bags and take it back to my house. Because typically they don't even have to talk to me. They just take the car and then leave. So at this point, I'm devastated. I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I'm not thinking clearly. A friend at the time happened to be in my neighborhood, so she came over and was able to kind of console me at that time. I'm calling my parents off the hook. I'm just like, I don't know how I'm gonna get this car out. Do I even want to get the car out? Whatever. He takes the car, and I'm just like, damn, like, I can't believe it got to this point. And it did. So I'm calling around, and I'm just like, I even asked one of my friends for money. Like, that felt like a low point in my life, where I had to put my ego aside to find a way to get my car out of jail, you know. And my car, I named my car Norma. If you know, you know. But it became Free Norma at that point, because Norma was in car jail. And, you know, I thought about it. I was like, I don't want to get this car out. I don't want to get the car out. I don't want to get the car out. Somehow my parents convinced me to get the car out, which I did. But at that point, I knew I had to change. I had to change my whole lifestyle, my mindset. I did not want to get caught up or my car repossessed again and go through that. Like, I was just like, no, I'm too old for this. And at this point, I think I was 26 or 27. I can't remember the exact year, but I knew something had to change, because things were getting out of control and it needed to stop. I needed to stop doing what I was doing. And I started to get my life together, and I ended up getting the car back. I was making payments on time. Thankfully, I had also gotten raises and, you know, things of that nature, so that helped. But I want to say that was definitely the beginning of my financial literacy journey, and my walk with money, and what it means to me, and how it affects my entire life, and not just having a cool car. Like, having a cool car is great, and I still love it. I still have the car to this day. I gave it to my dad after I paid it off. Yes, your girl paid off the car eventually. Got out of debt. My goal was like, I need to be debt free by 30. So I had a couple years to get my ish together, and I did. And one thing I didn't mention was how I manifested the car. So one day I was cleaning out my room. This was shortly after I bought the car. And I found the contract versus the paper I had printed out before I bought the car, before I'd even seen the car. And basically, I looked at the VIN number, and it was the same on the contract as it was on the paper I had printed out. So not only did I manifest my dream car, but I manifested the exact same car that I had printed. So I was just like, I have power. I have power. So that was my introduction to manifestation and the power of visualization and whatnot. But I still didn't quite, I knew I had power, but I still didn't quite understand money, you know? So I had let my finances just spiral out of control. And if you can relate to this, please comment below, because I would love to hear your car stories if you have any, or any story in general about just your money being out of control. Whether it's today, it was in the past, or you feel it kind of bubbling at this point and you don't know how to gain control. But it was a bumpy ride, to say the least, of having that car. And don't get me wrong, I have had some of the best memories in that car, with that car. It's still kicking today. Norma is still here. Shout out to Norma. I see you, girl. Have to say, it was definitely like the biggest blessing I endured in my 20s, and I totally understand and accept that it could have been way worse. I mean, I don't know what's more worse than a car repossession at that point, but it could have been way worse. I dug my way out of it, and I forced myself to just commit to cleaning up my act and choosing a different route, versus just making that same mistake and falling into the pit of destruction that I was headed towards. I'm thankful for that moment. The fact that my car almost got repossessed in the same week I bought it, because I didn't qualify for the interest rate, was wild. And then for it to actually get repossessed and then a boot, like, oh man, I held on tight to that vehicle. Me today, it was a lot of pride. It was a lot of ego. I don't go into anything. It's been hard to make large financial decisions like that. I'm focused on buying a home at this point in my life, so taking that experience into this experience now in my 30s, this was almost a decade ago when I went through all of this, a little bit over a decade. So I've had 10 years to learn, to get my act together, to mess up and, you know, learn from that lesson. I don't consider anything a failure, because everything is a lesson. You know what I mean? As cliche as that sounds, I had to learn from that big mistake, and if I wanted to see a different life and change my mindset about money, I had to take a different route, you know, and not be so impulsive or eager, you know. And those feelings are great, but I think at my big age now, like, impulsive is just working against what I'm actually trying to succeed at. And that's just financial wholeness, you know. And I understand working to get a house is a bigger mountain to climb, and I understand the work it's going to have to take and the mindset shift that it's going to have to take, but I'm up for that challenge. You know what I mean? I put myself in a position in my 20s that has impacted me today, that I made mistakes that I no longer want to endure. You know what I mean? And if I want to buy a house next, or when I buy a house next, excuse me, because language, you know, words mean things. And when I buy my home, I need to make sure I'm prepared and that I'm making the moves today, and not just when I get the house. Like, I'm putting into practice today, like, okay, if my mortgage is going to cost $2,000, am I making that every month? You know, just asking myself these questions and like practicing. Let's put away $2,000 this month for the next 6 months. You know what I mean? And those are just ways and tips that you can do to alleviate a lot of that pressure when you do make big decisions, whether it's buying a house or buying a new car, or whatever the case. If you're coming from a place of, you know, scarcity or whatnot. But it was a journey. E40 said it best: don't buy an $85,000 car before you buy a house. Like, honestly, I wish I played that song before I went to the dealership, because I was not thinking about my future. I was not thinking about investments. As soon as you buy a car, it depreciates $10,000. So my $61,000, which ended up costing me probably $100,000 in the long run, already lost value as soon as I put that thing in drive and left that lot. So Other ways you can benefit from that, you could, I could have turned my car into a business. And I just wasn't, I didn't have that mindset back then. But anyway, that's my story, guys. It was a journey, and it's still a journey, and I'm thankful for the lessons. And let me know if you are going through anything like this currently. Ask me any questions you have, and we can discuss this together. If you want to come on the show and be a guest, I would love that. We could talk cars, we could talk homes, we could talk money, whatever it may be. But I appreciate you guys' time, and remember, fearless individuality yields abundant healing. And don't buy an $85,000 car before you buy a house. Okay, guys? Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Leave a comment. I appreciate you guys, and I'm out.